Tremendo fail. Gracias por el stream. ¡No! Perdón. Okay. No, perdón. Es que... Qué mamá hueva. Como el anterior fue de ASMR, había cambiado los micrófonos. Y pues yo había guardado mi micrófono de ASMR, pero no había conectado de vuelta mi micro de siempre. Entonces yo empecé el stream así, como de costumbre. Y de repente dije, oh, estoy muteada. Oh, no estoy muteada, es que no tengo micro. Oh, ¿qué puede pasar? Ah, weona, no enchufas el micro. Y lo fui a enchufar y como que toqué el enchufe del internet y la lié todo. Pero ya somos, perdón. Bueno, es que no me echando, yo estaba muy cansada. Fue un día muy agotador. Estoy muy cansadita. Estoy a 10% de mi cerebro y de mi cuerpo. No doy más. Pero estoy muy contenta, muy feliz. ¿Cómo está bonito? Feliz lunes. No, feliz martes. Cógeme. Gracias, chicos. ¡Oli! Ya les saludé con la tontería. ¡Oli, hola, historia, el Alfredo, ¡oli, mate! ¡Oli, a ver, ¡oli, pibino! ¡Oli, dácole! ¡Oli, calla! ¡Oli, rigo! ¡Oh, muchas gracias por la membresía, Mochi! ¡Oli, Yasanka! Gracias. Disfrutaron el space. Simplemente quería tenerles de fondo mientras hacía mis cositas. No es como un contenido que haga con mucha conciencia. Más bien acudo a ustedes y quiero mimitos. ¡Ay, Leo! ¿Cómo estás? No, sobrevive. Chicos, antes de empezar con el gameplay, les voy a decir cosas porque si pienso en decirlas luego se me olvidan y nunca las digo. ¡Hola, Julián! ¡Bienvenido! Está guardado el space, chicos, por si quieren oír. Pero simplemente era yo ensayando mis cosas de idol y haciendo ejercicios. No es muy interesante, a mi parecer. Pero me alegro de que quienes lo han escuchado lo hayan disfrutado. Gracias por estar conmigo siempre. Para todos, los amo. Chicos, una cosa. Es que si no se me va a olvidar decirlo. Les quería decir que si se acuerdan de la checky que salió por el reboot, que está gratis en Coffee, pero si la quieren firmada, pues por, me parece que era 5 euros extra, pues yo se la firmo y se las dedico. Pues ese servicio se va a cerrar la próxima semana, ¿ok? Entonces les quería avisar de que lo voy a cerrar por si alguien quería adquirirlo antes de que se acabe. Y también que los que tengan problemas por Coffee podemos ver si se puede usar otro sitio. Tipo quizá las donaciones de Stream Elements, no sé si van por el mismo lado que Coffee o no. Pero podemos ver una solución para mandar de otra manera el dinero y que así no se queden sin las cositas de Coffee que les gustan. Que me da mucha pena ver que no les deja pagar algo que ustedes quieren. Así que quiero idear algo. Oh, todo PayPal en Argentina. Wow. Si me pasara eso me daría algo. Uso mucho PayPal. Pero bueno, eso. Que ahí averiguamos. Si no, tipo capaz cofrecito de Streamlabs puede ser una buena solución. O algo así. No sé. Pero ahí averiguamos cómo lo hacemos. Y que va a terminar en una semana. Así que quien esté interesado, pues tiene prisa. Igual seguirá estando la gratis para siempre si la quieren en un futuro. ¡Ali Nasher! ¡Bienvenido! No me acuerdo yo tampoco. No sé si hay de 3 o me lo estoy inventando. ¡Ay, qué genial eso! También recién subí un tweet porque según yo lo publiqué esta mañana, pero no se envió. Entonces estaba revisando el tipo de... ¿Y esto por qué no se envió? Y lo acabo de enviar. De que si alguien tiene problemas con cómo comprar la merch, me puede mandar como captura, screenshot del problema, para que yo le hable a los de Ubu Market y veamos qué pasa. Ay. Mosquetas. Abuelito, mucho Nasher. Hola Libra, ¿cómo estás? Pronto se acaba febrero, pero nunca se acaba Hanami. Exacto. Hanami es eterna. Y de por vida. Ay, no antojes, Nasher. Hoy empecé un déficit calórico nuevo. Y me fue bien, pero... porque acabo de tomarme un batidito. Ya está bañada, cómoda y descansada. Yes. Ay. Estoy lista para el gameplay infinito. ¿Cuánto creen que me quedaré hoy? No lo sé ni yo. El otro día jugando al Stanley no quería parar nunca, chicos. Y hoy quiero sacar todos los finales posibles, quiero verlo todo. Así que bueno. Me han dicho las malas lenguas que utilice mucho el cubo. Que repita algunos de los finales que ya vi con el cubo. No sé por qué. Ni para qué. Pero eso me han dicho. Así que vamos a hacerlo. Y vamos a ver dónde me lleva el viento. No te pueden quedar tantos finales. ¿Tú crees? No tengo idea, ¿eh? No sé cuántos hay. Mi único tema con Ubu Market es que me viven mandando correos para que compren los mousepads de uvas. ¡No! Compre mousepad seiso. El único que hiciste es el mío. Cómprelo. Son mis cachetes así. Hello. Igual creo que puedes ponerlos como en... no enviarme correos, son spam. Ok, creo que eso era todo lo que les quería decir. Así que voy a sacar mi mandito. ¡Yay! Y let's go. Empecemos. Me acaba de pedir que le meta la hora. El Stanley. Espérate, lo voy a abrir de nuevo porque le metí la hora hace un rato. Y no sé si necesita que sea actualizada. Veremos. cierto. Ahí está. Ahí inicia. Ok. Vamos a meter la hora de ahora. Son las 9:22. Confirmo. Momento. ¿Cómo que momento? ¡Hola, Pollito! ¡Hola, Luis! ¡Hola, Adrián! ¡Bienvenidos! ¿Cómo están? Antes de que empecemos, ¿puedo decir algo? Gracias por configurar la hora las 2 veces que iniciaste el juego. Mucha gente no se toma en serio este paso. Dejan el reloj en 12 y siguen adelante. ¿Qué? ¿En serio? Pero tú te tomaste el tiempo de configurarlo y te lo agradezco. Ah, ¡qué lindo narrador! Chicos, yo no me puedo enfadar con él. Yo le amo al narrador. Me da una ternura. Yo le quiero mucho. Somos amigos. Incluso las veces que me insulta. Tiene todo el derecho a insultarme. Lo hace cuando me pongo rebelde y me pongo bratty. It's okay. Ahora sé que esta experiencia es importante para ti. Te estás prestando atención. ¡Claro que sí! La gente que juega videojuegos sin prestar atención, ¿qué les pasa? ¿Qué les pasa? ¿Para qué juegas? Ni siquiera tengo forma de saber si la hora que pusiste es la correcta. ¡No, cosita! Se fía de mí completamente. ¿Sabes algo? Hagamos un trato, ¿ok? Como cooperaste, la próxima vez que inicies el juego y veas esta pantalla, pon tu hora favorita en el reloj. Ah, ¿vale? Adelante, elige la hora que quieras, aunque no sea la correcta. Te lo ganaste. Bien, ya te dejo que vuelvas al videojuego. ¿Ok? ¡Ay, es muy lindo! Me cae súper bien. No puedo, yo le quiero. Sal. Confía ciegamente en vos. Exacto. How cool is that, huh? Va a beber agüita. Ok. Let's go. A ver qué pasa hoy, Dios. Qué hype. Lo he desbloqueado. Hola de nuevo. Hola.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Mira, los globos los han metido en el prólogo. Siempre subieron. Oh my god.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
No es cierto, pingüino.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
Stanley Parable 2.
Change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor.
Seguimos en el DLC, es el 2.
No one had showed up to give him
Mira los globos, ¿ves?
call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
¡Ah, niña! Bienvenido. Ok, a ver qué pasa ahora, chat. Ah, sí, lo de las figuras, es verdad. Oye, lo de las figuras. Lo de las figuras. ¿Cuáles nos faltaban? No me acuerdo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
A ver, me voy a llevar al cubo.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
El cubo del bienestar se supone. Oye, ¿qué ruta seguimos, chat? No sé por dónde tirar ahora mismo.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Creo que voy a hacer caso para ir a ver lo de las figuritas también. Mira, aquí está. Ah, hay que buscar una habitación grande llena de cajas y escaleras. Algo de escaleras. Tener el cubo en la mano cambiará algo. Eso me han dicho, que a veces cambia. Toda la investigación de las figuritas. Habitación con cajas no me suena de absolutamente nada, la verdad. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Cómo? Espérate, creo que no había visto eso. ¿Qué es eso? Warehouse access plan. Produce one plank to allow of access past fence. What? Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. What? Retrieve Chris remains from warehouse floor. The fuck? Construct new structural sound bridge. No sé qué es eso. Creo que no tiene que ver conmigo. O eso quiero pensar. Porque no entendí nada. Ideas. El empleado 421 creando un puente. ¿Ese soy yo? No, yo soy 427, ¿no? ¿Por qué los figuritas se parecen a 427? No sé, soy yo. Es Stanley. Maybe we are the collectibles. Shut the freak up. ¿Ah? Quiero abrir otra vez el cuarto de la escoba.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's
Claro.
supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
Tiene sentido.
Stanley, don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend.
¿Por qué?
Hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk?
¿Qué?
This stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons. But even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I've never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket, as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Yo amo el cubo, sí. Sí. Yo lo amo.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
¡Oh!
There. Now
Propiedad de Stanley.
no more debate, no more discussion.
Yeah.
Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their
Franco,
relationship
¿cómo
to
estás?
broom closets in the natural order of things.
Es mi cubo ahora. Oh my god.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slab it coming to a staircase.
No,
Stanley and the bucket
no.
walked upstairs to
Ah,
the
bueno, me ha dado
boss's
mi
office.
sticker. Digo, ¿y mi sticker de cubo? ¿Dónde está mi sticker de cubo? Ok, quiero mirar abajo. Porque no recuerdo que había. ¡Ah! ¡Bien!
You're getting close now, Stanley.
Yeah!
You've nearly gotten all of the figure anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no figure anarines. None of us can.
Me falta uno que era un sitio con muchas cajas. Pero no recuerdo que exista ese sitio, la verdad.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be
No
fired
sé
for
dónde
that.
hay
And in such a
cajas.
competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished?
¿Qué
His
hay uno?
boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley.
Esto me raya tanto, chicos.
So, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me.
Oh,
in
this is
difficult times
simple.
such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket.
¿Qué?
Just a normal, everyday bucket.
¿Qué?
Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
No.
Ended up with someone else's bucket.
Pero
This
pone-
is terribly wrong. Surely
¿Qué?
no good would
No.
come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre
Es mi cubo.
hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically
No.
grounding presence of his bucket.
Mi cubo.
Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed.
Pero mi
Without
cubo.
my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far
¿Dónde
off in the
está mi
distance,
cubo?
he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket! Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special
¿Qué?
bucket.
No, mi cubo.
Stanley!
¿Eh?
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then
¿Dónde
suddenly,
está mi
he
cubo?
was dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all
¿Eh?
along. It was incredibly painful.
¿Qué?
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
¿Qué?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Pero qué? Me ha matado el cubo.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed,
Pero-
picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked
¡Tiene su propio cubo!
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by
¿Por
the
qué
body of a
Mariela
man
tiene un cubo
who
y
had
yo
stumbled
no?
through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. perhaps he didn't even realize he'd
Me
forgotten his
encanta
bucket
como
in the first place.
todo es verdad.
The world can be, Mariella
Solo es un
and
videojuego.
she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
¿Por qué Blackfree? ¿Ah? Hands up, Mariela. Mariela, hands up. Ok. Me encanta este juego. O sea, la metáfora con Mariela es maravillosa. ¿Por qué está esto rojo? No sabemos, nunca sabremos. Que me falta una figurita, pero es que no sé dónde está esa habitación de la que habla.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
I don't
Stanley
know.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No. De memo nada. Dan is never Dan is never Dan. Le metí un input. Chanchito para un cubo. No, ahora estamos con chanchito para copia. Finales hay de sobra. Ay, Dios mío. Pero ¿dónde está mi figurita, huh? Eso es lo que yo quiero saber. Where is my
When Stanley came to a set of
figurine?
2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Pues ahora no quiero, voy a buscar por aquí.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Yeah,
Perhaps he wanted
baby.
to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
¿Dónde hay cajas? Muchas cajas.
Yes, truly
Okay,
a room
no.
worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Oh, no. Estos son cajas. Capaz está aquí.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Hay cajas. Pero no veo mi figurita. Where is it? No sé si aquí o allí. I don't know. Esa es la sala de meetings, ¿no? Creo que voy a bajar. A ver si hay más cajas. No me acuerdo ya. Desvélate al sistema operativo.
Back to the office. He wanted to
¡Transpiración!
and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
No. No. No se hable.
Oh,
Ay.
no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Me trolea.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly...
Oops.
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we went down right...
¿Te has refrigerado? No, pero no sé. La garganta está un poquito pocha.
Okay, yes. I've got it
Me
now.
cogí un
This
caramelo.
story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Qué mal rollo el coche. Ok, pero no encuentro habitación de las cajas. Oye, no había más cubo.
No. This
El
isn't
spoiler.
right at all. We're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Este fue tu segundo final, por cierto. ¿Oh, sí? Me encanta que ustedes lo sepan mejor que yo porque se me olvida todo.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ya no tengo mi cubo. Me lo han quitado. ¡Ay!
When Stanley... Wait.
¿Qué liado ahora?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere?
Yo no hice nada.
Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Let's go. Ooh. Oh my god. Huh? ¿Eh?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No.
I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Eso se ve raro. ¿Ah?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. Story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way.
Espera, este es el que luego sale en la línea, ¿no? Es el final de la línea. Que creo que nunca llegamos al final de eso. Ay, qué mal rollo.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Yeah!
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that
Hola,
week.
Luz, ¿cómo
Some people win fair and
estás?
square,
Bienvenido.
and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Este era los de varios... La línea de la confusión, ¿ven? ¿Se acuerdan que llegamos a una pizarra que ponía... Primer reinicio, pasa esto, esto y esto. Segundo reinicio, pasa esto, esto y esto. Luego tercer reinicio, así. Y yo creo que estábamos como en el quinto cuando llegamos ahí. Y se reinició. Pero luego encontramos como todo lo del DLC. Y entonces no hice ni el sexto, ni el séptimo, ni el octavo reinicio. Que creo que eran 8 para conseguir el final. Entonces creo que no hemos visto este final realmente.
STANLEY PARABLE adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Así que a ver si ahora lo consigo.
See, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was.
Una vez creo que le hice caso en todo.
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Aquí muchas estás. Wow. ¿Sí?
Cut the music.
No.
Go back and look at that fern.
Venga, sabe, le voy a hacer caso. Creo que la otra vez no lo hice.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
¿Qué? Okay. ¿Cómo se supone que tengo que estudiarlo? Es un helecho. Okay.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No.
Yeah.
No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Oops. Oopsies. Aquí de nuevo.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Okay. La línea.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
A ver.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go
Es un cuadrado.
use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready
I
for
know.
it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from
Nos
having any
persigue.
role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
짠.
Ah, A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere. Which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley. Our destiny awaits.
Ok. Ese era... ¿Eso era eso, ven? Oh my god. No, hay tiempo. Mira.
Hold up, what's this?
Cuarto de inicio. Adéntrate en territorio inexplorado. Vuelve a encontrar la línea. Encuentra el cronograma. Y el narrador reinicia. Entonces ahora el narrador se olvidará. Stanley intenta jugar la historia, pero no se le permite. No puede ir a ninguna parte sin ni hacer nada. La partida se inicia sola. Luego vuelve a encontrar la línea. La sigue, encuentra una réplica idéntica a la oficina, deteriorada. Intenta inventar una historia y se reinicia. Y luego solo hay un espacio negro, oscuridad, encuentra una librería, te vas y se reinicia. Y luego me muero. Me acordaré.
I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The,
Oh my god.
whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
Okay.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Se reinició. Ok, entonces se supone que aquí tengo que intentar hacer el juego.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Normalmente.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
cubo!
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Venga, me lo
The
llevo.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
El baño. Está como siempre. Ok, pero
Stepping into his manager's office,
no está
Stanley
pasando
was
lo de
left
los
in
inicios,
stone
no,
to
estoy
discover not
confundida.
an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with
El
him
bucket
always.
siempre con
The
nosotros.
bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Ay. Ay.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Sí
Was it the bucket
somos.
knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Oh my god.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Ok. Tenemos el cubo, así que no hay miedo.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
¿Intentamos escapar o vamos al mind control? Tenemos el bucket. Quizá acaba bien la huida.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
No. Pero dijiste que todo estaría bien.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Oops. Oopsies. Wow. Oh my god. ¡La caída infinita! Tremendo mamporrazo. Oh, oh. Ah. Sí, efectivamente vamos a morir.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure,
Era para
it puts
nada.
the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself. And he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
No.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous...
La narradora del
doors.
narrador.
In a
Dios
single
mío.
visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
No.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
El balde te da la bienvenida a la gran exposición. Te encuentras ante el precipicio del conocimiento. Al igual que un balde, la mente humana suele estar vacía como una caverna. Pero gracias a la exposición que tienes enfrente, la mente se llena, se enriquece, se exalta. El conocimiento del balde y su historia es el único conocimiento que tenemos en verdad. Llevarás contigo el mundo lo que aprendas aquí. ¿Aceptarás con mente abierta la información de esta nuestra que podría desafiar tu modo de ver el universo? ¿Cambiarás tu vida y la de tus seres queridos como consecuencia de esa exposición? O harás la vista gorda y seguirás viviendo como hasta ahora, entre la oscuridad y la ignorancia. ¡Wow! Gran cubo.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the
25 cubos.
hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 baldes. Fotografía de 25 baldes. La mayor cantidad que se ha capturado con una cámara. El fotógrafo estuvo en shock catatónico durante varias semanas como consecuencia de la euforia que le provocó exponerse a tantos baldes. Oye, pero no es verdad, aquí no hay 25, aquí hay muchos más. No son 25, son muchísimos más. ¿Qué? ¿Me están engañando? Un balde con 2 asas. Imagen de un balde con 2 asas. Tal diseño no se ha creado jamás en la vida real, pues se le considera demasiado peligroso e imprudentemente experimental. Todos los años se condena a muerte a decenas de personas por intentarlo. ¡Qué mentiroso! What the fuck, ¿y esa habitación ahí arriba? Balde infernal. Oh my god. Réplica del balde infernal. En el medievo, ese objeto resultaba tan fascinante que desató guerras entre numerosas naciones que pugnaban por su control. Miles de millones murieron, pero la realidad no cambió. Nadie puede controlar un balde. The Stress Bucket, an Analogy. El balde antiestrés. Presentada sin comentarios. Sí que tiene comentarios. Worry, negative forecasting, negative thinking. Coping strategies holes. Rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy. Okay. Arte rupestre. Si bien sabemos que los baldes son anteriores a la aparición del ser humano, no tenemos idea de cuánto tiempo antes surgieron. En esta ilustración rupestre se ve como nuestros ancestros descubrieron los usos prácticos del balde. Para entonces es probable que los baldes llegaran varios milenios en el planeta. Observa cómo el balde permite que lo utilicen tras haber determinado que la humanidad es digna de sus tesoros. Wow. Dios.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
El balde colgante. Ah, esta es la habitación que está ahí arriba. Esta obra simboliza la relación necesaria entre el balde y la humanidad. Por clara que parezca nuestra comprensión del balde, hay algo más que siempre está fuera del alcance. Inevitablemente, esta distancia existe por nuestro propio bien. El balde es Dios, chicos. ¿Qué? Pensaba que me caería. Estoy volando. ¿The fuck? Yo me iba a tirar ahí, pero... Toqué el cubo.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Oh.
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oh, wow. Okay. ¿Ah? Pero ¿y el final de la confusión?
All of his co-workers were
Es
gone.
que...
What could it mean?
Es
Stanley
que...
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
Es que...
he
¿Qué? ¿Qué? No entiendo. No entiendo. O sea... No estoy entendiendo nada. Se supone que si intento jugar la historia no me lo iban a permitir, no puedo ir a ninguna parte ni hacer nada y la partida se reinicia sola. Eso no ha pasado. ¿The fuck? No entiendo. Ay, Winnie, Hanabi. ¡A Winnie!
He missed a memo.
Ay, yo 30 meses de membresía. Espero que entiendas algo de lo que pasa. No entiendo nada. Solo entiendo que te quiero mucho, Parabena. Muchas gracias por tantísimos meses de membresía. Obvio. Tal vez sí estoy mintiendo. Ay. Maldito cubo, seguro fue tu culpa.
Warmth spread
Pero
through
lo vuelvo a
Stanley's
coger.
house. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh, ok. Eso es cierto. La otra vez me caí por aquí y me morí.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question
Okay.
why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't
Vale.
talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
A ver, esta vez vamos a hacerle caso porque además aquí hay muchas cajas. Encontraré de una vez la figurita que queda. Veo muchas veces habitaciones con cajas y nunca está. Uy.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Okay.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Wow. Wow, qué casa más bonita. Ay, está ahí el cubo. ¡Oh!
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
No le hagas caso al tipo que grita. Wow.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Oprime para ignorar a todo el mundo excepto a mí. Wow.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
¿Qué están jugando? ¡Hola, Elías! Estamos jugando de Stanley Parable. Es un juego muy raro. No termino de entender qué está pasando. A ver si entienden junto a mi chat. ¿Tú crees que existo, no, Stanley? Ay, Dios.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Bienvenida. Oprime para vivir una y otra vez el mismo día conmigo. Ay, Dios.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket? I'm having feelings for the bucket.
Estoy sintiendo cosas por el bucket.
Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand.
Siente cosas.
If I had the bucket, this would be less.
¿Qué?
The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
¡No! ¿Qué le pasa? ¿Por qué le pone velitas? ¿Qué? A mí no mires. Pero, ¿qué? Oh my God.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley.
Oh.
I need it. Give it to me now. Give it
Quiero
now.
¿Qué pasó? Se han peleado por el bucket. Vuelve al trabajo, Stanley. ¿Qué acaba de pasar?
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It
¿Cómo?
was only a matter of time.
¿Qué? ¿Cómo que me están siguiendo? Qué miedo. ¿Y por qué no me dice nada más?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Pero qué? Ok. No encuentro esta. Alert room. Lots of boxes. No sé dónde puede estar. I don't know.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh no.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Yo estoy completamente perdida.
For no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? The doors closed automatically behind him wherever he went. And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
Oh my god.
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield.
Oh
and
my
it too
god.
appeared. It was so much fun. And Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now
Hola,
the voice
Ciel,
is
¿cómo
describing
estás?
itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me.
Este es uno de los finales que tuvimos. O sea, creo que es el de cuando sale Mariela, pero sin el cubo. Lo he repetido.
This was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the full weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back.
Sí, te vemos, se
The
siente,
fresh
vemos.
air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Pero no.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? and everything went black.
Tan loco ese final.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Ese fue el primero?
Mariella woke up on
No
a day
estoy
like any
segura.
other.
Creo que el
She
primero
rose, got dressed,
es
gathered
cuando
her
llegamos a su
belongings,
casa
and
de
walked
alguna
to her
forma.
place of work. But on this particular day, her walk
Que
was
llamamos
interrupted by the body of a man who had
como a una
stumbled
mujer y
through
luego
town
dice,
talking and
no sé si
screaming
Luso
to
creías
himself,
que tenías
then
mujer
collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
o algo así.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew.
No entendí lo del final de la confusión, la verdad.
And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal.
Hola,
I am
Xavier,
sane.
¿cómo
I am
estás?
in control.
Y la sabemos hacer.
I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment.
Siendo
that
hombre
she stood
apto.
there, staring
Si
down
crean
at
que
the
es eso, puede ser,
and
¿eh?
then she turned and ran.
Qué troleadores. Muy confuso el final de la confusión. ¡Sí! Ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Vamos a llevarnos el cubo ya que está aquí, porque a veces no está.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
Entonces, si voy para la izquierda, ¿pasa lo de ahora? O si subo las escaleras. Es el que acabamos de hacer, ¿no? Ya no me acuerdo. A ver.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
No hay tantas salidas, pero es que se me olvidan todo el rato y repito
Telling them
cosas.
that the employee lounge
Sí,
was simply
son.
the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left. to
Okay,
go back to the
aquí.
meeting room.
¿En qué final sale el Stanley sentado? Gracias por eso, me spoiler.
No.
Si aquí es donde me habla el
Don't
cubo.
go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good.
Voy a intentar tirarme para ir
Now
para
ride the
allá.
lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him.
I
and
did
he
it.
unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
¿Por qué? Stanley cable. Danger, danger everywhere. No tengo miedo. Sí, se cierran las puertas. Okay.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
¿Qué?
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
¿Y por qué no?
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences for the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket.
¿Qué?
Stay in here for a moment.
¿Qué? Oh my god. ¿Y? Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything you'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Uh-huh.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
¿Sí?
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
¿Y yo cómo voy a saber eso? Sí, hombre.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
¿Que sí?
Correct.
Bien,
This
eso sí.
is a bucket.
A ver, estudia. Oh my god. Wow.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Okay.
Is this a bucket?
No, sí es igual. Pero.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
No. ¿Qué? Sí, hombre.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Trick question. Both.
¿Cómo que both? Oh, eso no es. No puede ser both.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
¿Eh? No, no hay bucket ahí.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of
What?
course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
No.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a
Sócrates
bucket is?
estaría orgulloso.
Am I a bucket?
Tú no.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Tú no eres un bucket.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
Todo era un
Every single
bucket.
thing in the game was a bucket.
Oh my
God,
god.
I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're
Yo
not a
tampoco
bucket
soy un
either.
cubo.
Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
Okay.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Wow. Okay. Oh, Dios mío. Oh, wow. Ok, chicos. Voy a por un cubo. Digo, voy a por pipi time. No, en un cubo no. Ya vengo. Un momento. Todo fue en balde. Ahí vengo. Ok, Ya volví mis cubitos. Baby time bucket version. Gracias por la super coño. Gracias, Lisa. Gracias, Otago. Les quiero mucho, chicos. Oh my god, todo fue en balde. Qué sad. Gloria a su cubosidad.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps. And a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Eh? Wait, what do you mean? Okay, Bucket, come here.
The good old bucket.
The good old
Stanley and the
bucket.
Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Okay. It's another bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Okay. ¿Dónde está el que falta? No lo sé. Oh my god. ¿Y habrá una recompensa o no? Porque a mí pone que sí, pero dijeron que no. There must be a point to this. Anisaro, muchas gracias. Ok, vamos arriba.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Hemos estado abajo, ahora vamos arriba. Hoy hemos estado arriba. Estoy perdida. ¿Y en el ascensor? Había algo. Creo que no. Creo que solo tenía como música infinita, ¿no? No sé si el cubo hará algo. ¡Suena Stanley! Anyways, ay. No hizo nada.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it?
Tenía que sonar la intro.
Was the bucket guiding him?
Yeah.
Yes. This is certainly the most logical.
The bucket guides me. Oh no. Eso es lo que hicimos antes. Creo que la he liado.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through
Ah,
the
bueno,
large door
podemos
that
ir
read,
aquí.
Mind Control Facility.
Y si no lo hemos visto con el bucket. Oh, este es el difícil, ¿no? El que tiene puzzles.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped.
Me encanta
monitored
que
by
meta el bucket en absolutamente
I'd never
todo.
seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Gracias, Cubo.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Oh my god.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Aquí estamos.
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it.
No!
His own life in someone else's control. Never! He
Never!
squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Okay. Here we go, chat. Oh my god.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good.
Yo y el
Best
cubo.
friends, Stanley and the bucket up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way.
¿Cómo?
And the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
No, aquí no he hecho ningún comentario. What do you mean? Oh my god. Okay. Ese creo que es el de la libertad.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away.
Yay!
Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
What?
True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait.
Eh?
What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
¿Eso?
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
¿Qué?
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room.
But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
¡Wow! Increíble. Wow. ¿Ah? Loquísimo. Oh, Dios mío. Voy a beber agüita.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Miremos bien.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Papá. 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 ¿Por qué saqué ese teléfono? Me inquieta. Me inquieta mucho.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Okay.
Nor did it advance the story in any way.
¿Qué falta? No sé, siento que mil millones de cosas. Pero supongo que no. I don't know. No tengo ni idea.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Yeah, I
Perhaps he
know.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ese es el tema. The end is never the end is never the end. Right? Right.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach,
Eso es
giddy in
nuevo.
a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two?
Huh?
Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly love.
¿Qué? Primero sentimientos por el cubo y ahora
Yes,
sentimientos por la
really,
habitación.
really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Es que, ¿qué?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Medio rarito. Chicos, no me lo puedo creer. ¿Qué? ¿Qué hace eso ahí? ¿Cómo se supone llegas ahí? Dios mío, ¿cómo llegas ahí? Necesito saberlo. Y ahí hay una puerta. Oh, no te puedo creer. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Ah. Ah. ¿Qué?
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I want
Sí.
to tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead, I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Okay, that's it. Tentador. Pero se supone que si me caigo de aquí me muero. Así que, ¿cómo salgo de aquí sin morir? Luce muerte. Haga lo que haga. Todo por la figurita. Quizás si caigo en esas cajas. No, ¿a quién quiero engañar? ¡Ah! Espera. Por ahí hay un sitio. ¿Qué? Espera. ¿Eso es una puerta? ¿Ah? ¿Ah? Oh my god. What is this place? Oh wow. ¿Qué? ¿Qué? ¿Ah?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
No, pero yo no soy de esas, narrador. Yo no soy de esas, lo juro. Ostras. Chicos, está raro esto.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figures. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one.
What?
Isn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it
It was
fill you to the
okay.
brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines.
Okay.
Just one more time.
Si tú quieres. Ay, cómo me gusta ese sitio. Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Oh my god. Ooh.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
7. Wow.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around by the red and blue doors. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand?
Okay.
Can you remember?
Yes. It was here.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
¿Qué? Is that true? ¿Es un fact? ¿O es mentira?
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a figly in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Yo tampoco me acuerdo. What the fuck? ¿Qué es este sitio?
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was under the stairs. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Los píxeles. What's that down there? It's me, the son of a fire. Yeah. You found it under the stairs. Thanks for watching. Oh my god. Okay.
Back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Uy, 8 minutos es súper rápido. Vaya. Y este de las cajas.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here in the warehouse. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Yes. Ooh. You are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we
Ilusiona.
caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on.
¿Cómo que
Stop
no?
the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory
hecho.
zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
The past.
Okay, yes. This spot in the warehouse. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear.
Ahora tengo 13.
Let's keep going. I want more.
Dios mío. Voy a tener infinitas figuras. Oh my god.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
¡Sí me acuerdo!
Yes, I love that video.
Pero...
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good
Yo
room, though.
tampoco.
A solid room.
No sé si soy yo, pero de verdad que no me acuerdo.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation.
¿Y si voy para allá qué hay? Nada en absoluto.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Nada. The collectibles.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's
No.
something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling this story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
¿Qué? ¿Ah? No, pero me va a jubilar. Se va a acabar. ¿Qué está pasando?
But Stanley simply couldn't
cerrado.
handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days.
Ooh.
Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Oh, wow. Ok, creo que será otro final.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What? ¿Qué pone que hay como dos inputs? Where?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. and
Me
Stanley
encanta
knew it
llevar a la
well.
contraria.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
And go back on track. Ya no están los
Not a
figurines.
single person here
Me lo
either.
pasé.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ay, la escoba. Mi cuarto favorito.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oh no.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Es como espíritu. Sí.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Lero, lero.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in it. If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. It didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending is my favourite."
La,
I
la,
hope your
la,
friends
la.
find this concerning.
La, la, la.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
No.
Well, I've come to a very
Ay,
definite
Antonio, ¿cómo
conclusion about what's
estás?
going on
Bienvenido.
right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical melody of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed in front of your
Divina proyectada. No, narrador,
The
no.
responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming.
Blah,
So that
blah,
the
blah,
irony
blah, blah,
and
blah, blah.
insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them.
Blah, 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 blah,
All
blah,
right,
blah,
when you've
blah.
done that, just step out into the hallway. Ah, second player. Good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus?
Fungus.
You can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Vale, vale, ya me voy.
Come to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Espera, ¿dónde estoy? Ya ni siquiera sé dónde estoy, chat. Me acabo de perder. No lo hiciste la otra vez. No. Pero eso quise probar.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't
Perdón, tengo
so he
ansiedad.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age
No. Ok. Me relajo. Ah.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office?
Porque me diste la opción.
Wait to find out.
Estaba probando todo lo que encontrara. Y me diste la opción. ¿Eh? ¿Volvemos a hablar? ¿O no?
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways
La
that
trama.
you never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have. An incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow. I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Okay. Pero ¿por qué hay puerta? Antes no había puerta. Eso me perturba. ¿Puedo meter otra vez el código? I don't know. Algo me dice que falta algo, chicos. Pero no lo encuentro.
Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again.
Es que no hay nada.
How does he keep coming up with all of this?
Wakata. Nihongo.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
怖いそれ。いらっしゃいませ、ピエロさん。お元気ですか?
Stanley walked straight ahead through a large door that read Mind Control Facility.
まっすぐに行きます。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with
Oh.
television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
そうでしょう。上がらない。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
あ。パパパパパ。Us.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Aww.
But
So
here was the
easy.
proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control?
そうです。
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this.
これは私の話。
Stanley suddenly realized he had
あな
just
たのことじゃないよ。
initiated the network's
私の。
emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until
悪いな、ラ
detonation?
ウル。
Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the sun goes
意味がない
off.
よ。
What precious moments
でさ、
one of them is. More
この
time
パ
to
ズル
talk
はパズルじゃない。
about me, where we're going.
そう思い
All
ま
this
す。
means I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
だけ
All
ど
right, I'm in a good
こ
mood.
うは
They'll die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them.
これ。
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course,
で
that
もこれ
was
は
merely in this instance of the story.
またこう
Sometimes
です
when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing
意味
buttons
じゃないよ。
endlessly and then die
嘘？
alone. Other times, I let it sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to
Can
see
we
it
have
go.
ball?
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Fail
Dear
safe.
me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right
Sì,
now?
esatto.
Did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this
don't
video
know.
game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley,
¿Cómo se ríe?
you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the
Creo que
action
no hay
moving along.
forma
It's
realmente.
just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy.
Apum.
You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then no ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Oh my god.
Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't.
¿Cómo
It's
vibra?
all the same to me, all
Why?
a joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Oh my god. Es muy intenso ese final. Dios mío. Oh wow. ¿Y esa música?
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Eso es distinto, ¿verdad? Eso no es así. Me perturba cuando cambia cosas porque me creo que aún hay cosas que cambiar. Yo creo que los relojes no son eso. Porque había una B. It's really weird. Chicos, no tengo ni idea. Seguramente me estoy dejando algún final, pero la verdad ya siento que todo el rato es repetido todo.
But it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ya no. Sí, es cierto, se me está haciendo tarde. Es verdad. Pero es que es tan desconcertante que no sé. Tan, tan, tararán. Parará.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, vamos a ver qué había aquí. Para, para.
Yet there was not a single person here
Ah,
either.
cierto.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh no. Ese es el de la locura. No, de nuevo. ¿No se puede hacer algo con los lobos? Creo que no, pero no lo sé. Oh no, me cerraron. Pues ya no sé, chat, ya no sé qué hacer. Estoy atrapada en un bucle infinito. No consigo pensar algo distinto para encontrar más finales, la verdad.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Sí, es simplemente que me engancho al vicio.
Mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
Me engancho
None of it
porque
made
no
any
sé.
logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined float above the ground.
Yo no sé qué más hacer.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course,
Ese es el más rayante de
how
todos.
could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself?
Y el otro día
Believing
pues,
that if
YouTube
he's
me,
asleep, he doesn't
me
have to take
recomendaba música de
responsibility for
temas
it.
conocidos pero cantados
Stanley
por
is
Google.
as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
Oh my god, bueno, al menos no
Now,
estaban
hearing the
cantados
voice
por
speaking word
Donna.
was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job.
Oh my
All I
god.
want is my life
Tú eres
exactly the way it's always been.
insoportable cuando canta.
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Me da mucha pena ese momento del que se despierta y sigue ahí. No funcionó.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I
El
must be
mami.
real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Mariela, no.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Yahoo?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the
Chan,
bully
¿qué
of a
cosas
man who
escuchan?
stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and
Oh
then
my
collapsed
god.
dead on the
No me
sidewalk.
acuerdo cómo
And
llegaba.
though she would soon turn to go call for an
Con
ambulance,
el
for just
teléfono
a
y todo
few
eso.
brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life.
Están
She had no
locos.
time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Yeah. No puede ser. Me niego a parar el stream hasta que encuentre un final nuevo. ¿Qué? Espera, esto es distinto, ¿va?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Pero es... ¿Qué?
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley
I
just
don't
smiled.
know.
Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
¿Qué? ¿What? ¿Por qué está distinto?
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Pero no es
Stanley
igual
had
que
felt the
siempre.
bucket calling
¿Qué?
to him, telling him that the employee lounge
¿Cómo?
was simply the place to be.
¿Por qué estaba distinto?
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be
What?
correct? Was this no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo
Oh
lift.
my god. Climb at your own risk. Guys, me voy a matar si me tiro. I don't know. No. La voz del cubo. Es que ya lo intenté una vez y me caí, efectivamente.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Pero me mataré si voy hacia aquí. No, ya no me puedo tirar. ¿A dónde llevaba esto? No me acuerdo. Oh, no buckets.
No,
No.
stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says,
No.
no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring
Es que no
a
sé
bucket
cómo llegar más
unless-
abajo.
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket?
No, otra vez no.
I suppose that would explain
no
a lot
quería
about your
hacer
behavior
eso.
up to this point. Which,
Leave me
if that's
alone.
true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
No vuelvo a coger el cubo.
The story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
No quiero entrar. Es un pesado, me trolea. No.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios.
Let me
and you'll tell
alone.
me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
No puedo soltar el cubo.
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a
Ahora lo puedo acertar todo al menos.
bucket.
Aunque no creo que eso cambie nada.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D
El
printed
sonido
recreation
de
of a
juego de
bucket,
tele.
not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Pues no sé, las estoy acertando todas.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
A ver si pasa algo.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
No sé por qué, pero sí.
Correct. This is a bucket.
No hay explicación. Simplemente sí, es un bucket.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Oh no, ese no me acuerdo. Ah, eran
Trick
both.
question. Both. Gotcha.
Tiene sentido.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Sí. Nada, es un cubo.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Sí.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a
¿Qué es un
bucket? Mere
cubo?
moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift.
Ya se ha
Do any of
rayado.
us know what a bucket is? Am I a
¿Y
bucket?
es un bucket? No. Si le digo
Stanley,
que
I
sí.
can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
Y
I
sí,
can't
nos
have
hemos
that.
peleado
I'm
por
sorry.
dormir con el
I'm
cubo,
going to erase
imagínate.
all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Click.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And
Okay.
we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Okay. No más buckets, okay? No más... Oh my god.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
¿Dónde me
We are
subí?
confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
The fuck? The fuck?
Understood. Your order will be canceled immediately. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness
At
Foundation.
first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He
Okay.
then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag here?
No, hombre, no. Pero no entiendo. No.
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? And this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
¿Qué? The fuck? How can I... ¿Me voy a quedar aquí para siempre? A no ser que reinicie a Switch. ¡Ayuda! What is happening right now? Yo sí me cansé de este chiste. Yo sí. Oh my god. Okay. ¿Ah? Chat. Señorita, ¿usted jugará al Pocopiao? Sí, quiero jugar al Pocopiao. Estamos recaudando para que lo pueda comprar en el Throne. Pero sí, quiero jugar el día de salida, si puede ser, porque es que... Ay, qué ganas que le tengo al Pocopiao. Dime un segundo, chat. Debo reiniciar ese pinche juego. Piensa en los buckets. No quiero pensar en los buckets. Ahora tengo que poner mi hora favorita. Es mi hora favorita. I am PM. Creo que fue la hora en que nací. Esta, pero no me acuerdo muy bien, pero creo que fue esta. Ay, esperen, que no están viendo. Perdón. Creo que fue mi hora de nacer. Ah, tu hora favorita. ¿O será que no pudiste resistirte y me dice la hora correcta otra vez? No, la verdad que te hice caso. Después de todo sé que disfrutas de poner la hora correcta. ¡No puse la hora correcta! No era... I am... ¿Me equivoqué? Nací al mediodía. Eso es PM, ¿verdad? Sí. Luz de PM. Ahora quiero saber qué tan precisa es la hora. ¿Eh? ¿Qué tan precisa? No es nada precisa. Van a ser pero de las noches, o sea, todo lo contrario. PM es pasado mediodía. ¿Ah? Pero... Ah, claro. Ah, sí, es verdad, me equivoqué. Espera, entonces sí es muy precisa. No, no es precisa. ¿Eh? No, es imprecisa. Chicos, me estoy rayando, ayuda. Ayúdenme. O sea, mediodía. Ahora son las... Van a ser las 12 AM, ¿verdad? Vale. ¿Sabes una cosa? Sin importar la precisión del reloj, lo estoy pasando genial ajustando estas configuraciones. Siento que estoy conociéndote mejor y entiendo cómo te gustan las cosas. Reunir datos es bueno. Eso diría una IA, qué miedo. Ojalá tuviera más barras deslizantes, pero ya las usamos todas. Como que las usaron todas. Quizá pueda inventar algunas barras deslizantes nuevas para reunir más datos sobre ti. Me gusta. No debería ser muy difícil si voy a crear algunas. Debería estar lista la próxima vez que inicie el juego. Pero ahora quiero verlas. No, ahora quiero iniciar de nuevo. Ya estaré parable. 2.
This is the story of a man named Stan.
Okay. Guys. No voy a probar. O debería. Deberían probar la otra opción de saltando por aquí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
vamos a
simply missed
hacerlo.
a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
No puedo. No me sale. Uy. Ahora.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural
¿Pero dónde
narrative
está la
tropes.
puerta? No la
So, now
encuentro.
that you're here, what do you think?
Menú de Kingdom
Neat
Hearts,
place to be.
100%.
Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in?
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Ahora sí. Ya me cansé.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just restart the game any old time you want. Like right now.
Okay.
And just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Okay.
There once was a man named Stanley,
¿Está cantando?
who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable, and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong, and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. You too will become quite unbearable.
Cling. Okay, guys, I think this is enough. Chicos. Estoy dando nada. Chicos, creo Creo que esta canción es el ending perfecto para ese stream. Creo que este juego me está diciendo que pare de una vez. Quién, es nuevo quién, es nuevo quién, es nuevo quién. Oh my god. Creo que seguiré alguna vez por mi cuenta. Quizá a ver si encuentro un final más. Pero no creo que hagamos otro stream de STANLEY PARABLE porque literalmente no acaba nunca. Ay, Dios mío. Una nana. Un momento de mi vida. Así es. Sí. Tan, 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 tan. Ay, qué risa. Socorro. Ta, 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 ta. Ironia. No hay 100%. Es muy difícil. Ay, anyway, fue una curiosa experiencia, la verdad. Me gustó haberlo pasado con ustedes. Tenemos que tener otro stream de STANLEY PARABLE en 2036 para obtener el logro de no haber jugado en 10 años. ¿Ese logro es de verdad? Ay, Dios mío. ¡Wow! Del 1 al 10, ¿qué tanto te gusta el juego? No lo sé. Es muy raro. ¿Cómo lo clasifico? Es muy extraño. Me gustó que es distinto a cualquier otra cosa. Desde luego es una experiencia que tienes que vivir alguna vez en tu vida. Así que está cool, I think. Respuesta a cubo. Au, mi pancita está sonando. Oh my god, espero que no me hayan oído. Pero mi pancita está sonando. Así que después ya me miro. Es muy tarde, se me cierran mucho los ojitos. Ay, pero ya me he cansado. Pero mucho, tengo mucho sueño. A mí miro. Nos vemos el jueves. Yes. ¿Qué hay el jueves? No me acuerdo. Vean el horario. Se me ha olvidado. Los quiero mucho, bonitos. Arigato. Hasta el jueves. Bye bye.